This was my choice. I knew I could say, go away, leave me alone, and I know, boom, it would have happened. There's not a doubt in my mind.
You sure it's recording? Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to present to you, to make the first statement of the evening, Clifford Goldstein.
The bear went over the mountain, the bear went over the mountain, the bear went over the mountain to see what he could see. I want to do my radio on.
No, that's silly. We now hear a few words from Shelley.
I grew up in Miami Beach in a secular Jewish home. Did a lot of travel when I was young. I saved up my money when I was in high school, went through Europe and North Africa. Then I came back and I went to junior college. I worked also at the Miami Herald as a copy boy. Bummed around Europe for a number of months, and then I went up to Sweden. Then I came back and I went to the University of Florida at Gainesville. At that time of my life, I was into skydiving. I mean, every weekend at Gainesville, people are going to football games or whatever. I went out to a place called Palatka, and I went skydiving. I was just kind of a skinny kid, long hair, doped up half the time. But I always knew inside, I knew I had a lot of creative ideas. There was just this creative thing in me that I didn't understand it, but I knew that I had it, and I knew I was going to do something with it in my life. Ever since the time I was young, I always knew I wanted to be a novelist. I wanted to be a novelist or nothing. I had novelists and writers in my family. I just knew I wanted to write. I write papers and I write things and the teachers would think, you didn't write that, did you? So I just knew there was something there with that. I had started a novel my senior year at college, and it just possessed me. The book controlled my life more than I controlled the life of the characters inside the book. That novel was my life. Nothing else mattered to me more than this book. In the midst of all this, I was always somewhat of a seeker. Always had questions, and I'll never forget, one day, I was sitting in a pizza parlor, and I was reading a philosopher, and he said something that changed my life. He said, in order to live the most perfect life upon the earth, you needed to find out the reason why you were here and then live your life accordingly. For some reason, those words just hit me. And it was like I was eating a pizza. There was this pizza sitting on the table in front of me. Now, you could have had 1,000 different people with 1,000 different concepts of how the pizza got there. Maybe they thought the god Marduk created the pizza. Maybe aliens dropped it out of the sky from a flying saucer. Maybe it evolved out of the ground. I don't know, you could have had 1,000 different people with 1,000 different views on how the pizza got there. Somewhere out there had to have been an explanation for the pizza. And then at that moment, I was maybe 21 years old. It hit me. In the same way that there's got to be an explanation for the pizza, something had to explain the existence of the world, the existence of the universe. Something had to explain it, and whatever that was the truth, with a capital T, about the universe, and that changed my life. I walked out of that pizza parlor, and I can still remember walking down the streets of Gainesville, Florida at night, thinking if it were humanly possible to know what this truth was. I thought I wanted to know it. I didn't care where it led me, what it cost me, what I had to give up. Over the next few years, I had some amazing experiences that really helped break me free from this hardcore atheistic, materialistic worldview that I was raised on. And I really started to think that there is a kind of spiritual dimension. And eventually I really came to believe that there is a God, that there has to be a God. One night, the Lord came to me and just said to me, "You've been playing with me long enough. If you want me tonight, burn the novel." And in that instant, the Lord showed me that that novel was my God. And it was. Nothing else in the world meant more to me than that book. That book was everything to me. It was my God. I was 23 years old. It was 2.5 years of my life. And at 23, 2.5 years is a lot. I poured everything into it. I mean, I barely had a dime to my name. I was living in a student ghetto, barely had enough money to eat because all I was doing was pouring everything into the book. My friends were getting degrees in this and getting degrees in that and doing all this other things. And I never had, and I poured everything into this. But then it's fascinating because I had all this back and forth. And then finally, at one point, I surrendered. I said, okay, God, I want you. I want truth more than I want this book. And once I made that choice, I made that surrender, all the turmoil, all the struggle, everything lifted. I had no idea the cross. I really had no idea what Jesus Christ had done for me. No idea the plan of salvation. All I knew is I came face to face with God, and he told me this is what I had to do. And once I made the choice, I didn't have a qualm. I didn't have a doubt. Well, all I remember is I would go home to my apartment, and I had this manuscript, about 2.5 years' work, and I had this little hot plate that my mother had given me, hoping I'd cook food. And I remember putting the manuscript on there, and I remember thinking to myself, I snickered to myself, thinking, oh, Cliff, you're too much with this. And I turned the knob and burned the manuscript. It was 1979, and I'd never been sorry. My life radically changed, and that was the night I became a born-again believer, and I still don't know how I did it. It's a miracle of God. And you shall seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. Jeremiah 29:13.